Hello and welcome to In the Author's Corner. I'm Nadia Giordana. My guest today is Juli Geske-Peer. She's the founder and CEO of Peer Performance Solutions. She has a new book out titled 5 Senses for Success. And believe me, put that one at the top of your reading list for this summer. It's going to be the most important book you read this year if you want to grow your business and be the success you always planned to be. But don't take it from me. Let's go talk to Juli and learn more about why this is so important. Juli, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me, and I am glad to be here with you, Nadia.
Well, I know your work week is busy, but I'm glad you took a little time to come and see us and talk to me. One of the questions I'd like to ask you, and I know the audience wants to know, is how did you get started with your writing journey? Because people don't just wake up one day and write a book.
Yes, that is true. And my journey has been varied and long. So when I was a youth, like teen or preteen, I actually started writing with poetry. It was my way of getting all those emotions out on paper and out of me. It was my way of dealing with things back then. And I had a lot of poetry books and books of poetry in notebooks. Then when I moved into adulthood, I actually thought I wanted to be a fiction writer. So I took a lot of fiction writing classes. I wrote stories and I started some book-length works that never quite got finished. So they were just kind of in files. And I did that for a lot of years, starting and stopping. Then more recently, as I've gotten older, I've been thinking about the impact that I want to have in the world as I think of legacy of what I want to leave behind when I do ultimately leave this world at some point, hopefully down the road. And I really started thinking about what can I offer of value in a nonfiction realm. So then I started writing this book back in 2015 and 2016.
This is your first official book.
It is, yes.
And I want to backtrack a little bit. Poetry is one of my favorite things. I just wanted to say that I'd love to read some of your stuff sometime. If you don't just keep it hidden in a drawer, you can share some with me.
I do kind of keep it hidden, but I might share one or two pieces with you.
Okay, that'll be good. That's on a side note. This is your first book. What was it like that first day you got the brand new, I love the way a new book smells, the first big box of books?
Yes. So I did, and I have it here. And when I first held it in my hand, I couldn't believe that this very, very long journey I've been on had come to fruition finally with an actual book in hand. There were times that I dismayed that I would never reach the goal to actually publish a book. And the fact that I'm there now today and have it in hand is amazing, and I'm very grateful.
Yeah, it really is. And family and friends, what were some of the reactions from family and friends? That can be a mixed bag sometimes.
Well, I've been very lucky, I'd say, because I haven't had anybody that has reacted negatively to this whole idea. They have been very supportive, family and friends, for years as I've been going through this journey. They have sometimes, some of them have helped me brainstorm ideas back in the fiction days. I have been part of writing clubs where we kind of shared each other's writing and critiqued it. And then more recently, as I was moving toward the actual publishing, I've been very grateful that family, friends, colleagues, clients have all been very, very supportive. And again, I sit in a sense of gratitude about that, because I know some writers do experience family or friends who might react in a way that is difficult because they might feel threatened or that kind of thing. And I just haven't realized that.
Yeah, either threatened or maybe even more, because when you think about family members, because they know you so well, they and yet people who know you that well in a lot of ways don't know you at all and think, why does she think she can write a book? They remember you as the child they grew up with.
True.
I think that's where that comes from. They think of you still as the college student or the child, the person who's going places but is not there yet. And that comes out from family members sometimes. And
yeah, it can.
They get surprised when, wow, she really did it. Here's this spectacular book here in front of me. I think I'll read it.
And many of them have. And they've been very, very welcoming of what I've done, and they like it and they think it's of value. And the way I wrote it, I have researched concepts in there, and I also have personal stories to illuminate the concepts that I'm talking about. So some of the people that are former colleagues have actually tried to guess. All the stories are anonymized, so I don't use real names, and they're trying to guess like who could things be about. And I don't obviously acknowledge anything, but it's kind of funny how they react to that.
Yeah, it always is fun. People do really say when they learn you're writing a book, people really do say, "Am I in it?"
They do. That is true. They do. And some of them are in this, but they are anonymized. So,
well, talk a little bit about your company, Peer Performance Solutions. Did I get that right?
you did. It is. It's Peer Performance Solutions. I've been in business full-time since 2014, and I had dabbled on the side of other full-time jobs I had even before that. So I moved into it full-time in 2014, and I help organizations and individuals to lift performance. So I do that using 3 avenues: working with leaders and working on leadership skills. And I believe leadership skills can and should be displayed anywhere, not just in a leadership role. And then operational elements and business intelligence to inform strategy. But my real heart love and what this book focuses on is the leadership and relationship elements. Because when I'm coaching clients or working with executive teams or boards or that kind of thing, what I often see is it's the relational elements and the leadership elements that are the barriers to really driving a company or even an individual career for.
And the book itself is, again, titled 5 Senses for Success. Tell us a little bit give us a couple of tips that might come out of the book.
So what I've done is I've taken the original typical 5 senses and I've altered them into 5 deeper, more meaningful senses that help with relationship and leadership and even our relationship with self. I think that's a very important element in the book. So it's relationship with other, relationship with self, and how do we use these skills in a leadership mindset, in a leadership way, whether we're in a leadership role or not. These can be used in careers and in families. So some of the things that I talk about that are often barriers or problems in organizations or people's individual careers have to do with conflict and managing conflict. So there are tips in there, like for instance, one of the senses I've taken here and changed it into listen, where we're doing something much more deeper. And it gives techniques for how do you deepen what you learn from another, and how that then evolves into building trust. So it's important to build trust if we're going to minimize conflict. And those two are kind of very, very key to how we succeed with others in the workplace. Often we build our own technical skills, whatever they look like in a specific job that we might have. And then we don't think about some of those soft skills, because everybody who does any kind of work or wants to accomplish anything in the community or even in a family must work with other people. And so how do we do that in a way that builds trust, minimizes conflict, helps everybody move forward in a way that helps everybody that is part of the equation, not just one?
That, you made reference to the word listen, and that is so important. So often people are, instead of listening, waiting for either jumping to conclusions instead of listening, or waiting for their turn to say their piece without listening. And I find myself sometimes doing that too. And it is really important, whether you're in the workplace or in social situations, to be able to be a good listener.
I agree. And it is, I mean, I think everybody, I think it's a human thing that we've all found ourselves in conversations, or probably more often when we're in a difficult conversation or even a conflict, where we start thinking about our response before the other person has finished speaking. I think everybody has experienced that at some point. And I talk a little bit about that in the book as well. But if we really want to build trust and reduce conflict, or reduce those difficult conversations and make them more seamless and beneficial to everybody, then honing our listening skills is really critical. And I talk too about how do we ask questions of the other that will help them understand we are really attending to their perspective, their position, their way of thinking. Mm-hmm. And then we can negotiate if needed. But if we can't pause and put our own perspective and thoughts aside and really hear the other, it's very difficult to move things forward.
Yeah, the conflict resolution is such an important element of having a smooth running workplace. I'm excited about your book. Is there anything I haven't asked you that you'd like to be sure that the audience knows about you or this book?
Sure. Well, what I'd share at the end here is that the reason that I wanted to write this book is that I have struggled throughout my life with many of these concepts and done really poorly at some of them, to be honest, to be frank. And so my journey was bumpy and difficult at times, and I share some of that in the book. But what I really want to mention is that the whole point of the book is that there's always hope. No matter where we've been, no matter what we've experienced or done, there is always hope. And it's that sense of hope that I hope people take away from the book, and by practicing these can really move out into the world and become successful at whatever they aim for.
Oh, absolutely. And that is good information. One last thing. What kind of advice do you have for other writers similar to you?
I would just say, if you aspire to be an author, a published author, stick with it. Just keep practicing, keep trying, keep honing your skills, take classes, get feedback from other people. I have done this for many, many years, and I'm here now where I've published a book, and I feel good about this book. But if I had tried to write this book back before without going through some of those journeys, it would have been difficult. So I would just say, keep with it and keep trying.
Absolutely. That is good advice. Well, Julie, thank you for coming on, being on the show, sharing us the information about your book. And thank you, everyone, for watching us today. We'll see you next time with a brand new guest.
Thank you so much.